Yeah, it's working, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Let us know if you can hear us and see us. You probably see us, but whether you can hear us, especially it's working, Peter. Yeah. Let me just. Wait. How do I see the comments in here? I have no clue. I don't see. It's great.
Yeah, I can see the live chat, so no worries.
You can see? Yeah, I see nothing actually. So we'll see whether this works or not. Anyway. Okay, I see now. Okay. Great. So I guess that we can start, right? Or shall we wait?
Yeah, let's start.
Like a minute.
Let's start.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to be some kind of workshops or anything. Just a kind of summary of what we did and what are our plans.
Yeah, actually, yeah. The plan. We don't have actually a plan about this live stream. That
as usual.
Yeah, let's say as usual. But yeah, as Peter mentioned, we wanted to sum up the whole working process on the Modular Monolith course. Wanted to discuss the future of the channel, future projects as well, and yeah, and hopefully this will give you a clue of what you can actually expect in a close future, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the plan.
So first things first. So today we have January the 3rd, 2022, which means that, as we promised, now on our platform, DevMentors.io, there is a new course available. So Modular Monolith. Yeah, as you can see, the level is set to intermediate, and the price, which is net price, is 199 euros plus VAT. But we discussed with Peter, and we wanted to give like 30% discount off for first 100 people, just to thank for everyone who will support us from the, let's say, day zero of this project. And after those 100 purchases, will probably reduce the discount, but still leave some, I guess. And there are still other discounts as usual that eventually might be used as some sort of alternative. So they will not apply, they will not stack together, but they can be used inexchangeably for the purchase. So we got the social share, which was like, I'm not quite sure, 10% or 15?
15, and then we have this kind of group purchase for companies or teams up to 25%. So the same stuff like in the microservices or other courses.
And maybe let's just briefly discuss the course itself, and we'll eventually go to the few questions, because there were a few questions and regarding this course, comparing to Polish version, comparing to, let's say, what we've done on the YouTube. So hopefully you saw the like, I don't know how to call it, trailer. Yeah, maybe like some sort of few I would say put together lessons which presented. Yeah, the whole purpose about this video was mainly to show you the quality, which hopefully improved overall, comparing to what we've done in the microservices.net. We switched to the microphones that you can see. Actually, you're using quite slightly different, but basically we were recording on both those Hyper Quadcast something crap, which actually works pretty well. That ends our potential collaboration with HyperX, I guess. But they were pretty good. They also the visually they look good and kind of cool. So it was already the whole, I would say, video itself looked already way more professional. And we also switched the lens in the camera because we used the default one that was provided to Sony camera, and we switched to Sigma, and now hopefully the quality was just way better. So that was it when it comes to hardware, and we also improved, and we actually discussed this with few people, whether this sort of presentation of the diagrams, some sort of charts would be cool, and they claimed that that may be something that maybe we should go for, instead of just doing like the screencasting and screen sharing that we used to do in the past. So that's pretty much it when it comes to improvements of the quality, I would say.
Yeah, and the video editing skills. We are working on our video editing skills every week.
Yeah. But yeah, as a result, we ended up with the course that probably will add something eventually. There are a few topics that we eventually might add, but those that we have in here are, I would say, close this comprehensive topics that we had. And I guess that once you'll dive into the whole program, I guess that this is pretty much all you need to know, at least to have a solid fundamentals, and eventually maybe some other useful patterns, some sort of structures or components within your modular monolith that will make it more, I would say, fun to develop on your daily basis. So that was pretty much it. And one thing though, which is important, is that few topics that we discussed in the past are actually not in here. And what I mean is the whole stuff about the CQRS and the clean architecture. And the reason for that is actually was discussed in mini course that we have on the YouTube about the clean architecture and the CQRS. This actually was repeated quite a few times in different courses, like mini courses, series, whatever. And we don't want to just duplicate ourselves and discuss the same topics over and over again, especially that in this case, the technology itself is not that important. So even if there will be new version of the .NET, like actually it was, because I was recording the part in the .NET 5, the code is already available.
6 already.
Yeah, it's already bumped to 6, but the concepts remain the same. So this should
the code is the same. It's all the same. Just a package, pretty much.
Yeah, but there could be few improvements, let's say, comparing the .NET, the C# versions. But basically, it's like the main idea about this was to share the concepts, not the technicalities and libraries, etc. So in general, the core of this mini course about the clean architecture should remain the same forever, and this is why we put in here the clean architecture crowd, because we are using this, we are applying this into Modular Monolith, but the whole material can be found in Dev Mentors mini course section in here. So another 8, like almost 9 hours of material about just the CQRS and the clean architecture, which putting together will give you like 25 hours, I guess, about Modular Monolith and the clean architecture. And and we ended up with material which I'm honestly kind of proud of, to be honest, because of the quality and because of it looks almost like I've imagined once we started this. And I guess that it needs to we need
the next ones will be better and better.
Yeah.
Constant improvement, hopefully.
There will be a few.
Yeah. And just like with the microservices, the repository is fully open source, so you can just open the repository, clone the GitHub code, and play with it on your own. If you just want to find out why we made this different kind of decisions, why we implemented code in this way or another, what are these components all about, this is like why we made this course. And the same was for the microservices course And probably the same will happen for the next courses. The code, the source will be always there for you if you just want to.
It's not probably,
it on
it
your
will
own.
just be always
Yeah.
open source. So
Yep.
it's fundamentals of this channel, and this will always remain the same.
Mhm.
So I would say that this pretty much is it when it comes to the overall result. I mean, if you haven't seen the trailer, then if you'll just go to devmentors.io and you'll go to courses, and here you have the Modular Monolith. So you can start with the trailer. Then you can see the whole topics which are listed in here, and on the very bottom we have the agenda, I would say, right? And you can see what are the lessons.
Sections with lessons.
Yeah, and you can go to, let's say, few demo lessons. So vertical slice, shared infrastructure, communication integration, and those are the demo lessons that we put in here. They're also available on the YouTube.
One of them is on YouTube, the longest one about the communication.
Yeah, actually you're right. Yeah, so another two are in here, and we don't require any sort of registration, etc. It's just if you want to see it, then it's just in here. So you can already probably check whether this is some material for you or not. Maybe you already know this stuff. Maybe on the other hand, it's kind of overwhelming for you, and you just need some time to actually I would say absorb this knowledge, and maybe you want to study some other concepts first and eventually come here and check this material. So I think that it's enough for the advertising, right? I wouldn't say that it's we don't have anything more. We're not very good in ads, so and there were few questions regarding the modular monolith in general, and I guess that we need to address them somehow. So maybe starting from the very first, because in here on this channel we'll have both Polish and no Polish audience. So actually the truth is that we released the modular monolith Polish version like half a year ago. Like that was about May, I guess, April, something like this.
Yeah.
So the Polish got this first, but actually when you compare I would say the size, so that was like over 20 hours, I guess, and here we have like just
about two times of the size of the English course.
So that was the questions: what's the difference, and whether this is completely new material, whether this is some sort of same material but chopped and released as an English version with the subtitles, or whether this is actually re-recorded from scratch. So so maybe you can discuss what are the differences.
So one of the first differences that you will find out is, for example, that we didn't include here the event storming session. We'll probably just provide a full event storming fundamentals in one of the next courses about DDD, or maybe we'll talk about this on the YouTube. Actually, we already did in one of the very first modular monolith series lessons. So for example, this was skipped. And we also didn't put that much emphasis on the, let's say, domain itself, because in this English course, we have this, let's say, new project called Inflow, which is kind of a virtual payments app, while in the Polish version, we have this other project, the previous one called Confab, which was about managing the conferences. And actually, the domain, the Confab, was, I would say, a bit more complex. So in the Polish course, we also made some additional lessons where we strictly talked about the domain services, and these kind of things, where we didn't put that much focus on the actual, let's say, modular monolith itself. We just more work around the domain itself. So also about a few hours of this part has been ignored. So we just wanted to focus on the core of the modular monolith, not really talk about the domain of the project that much. So it's more concise, it's shorter, more concise, but the overall list of the topics is pretty much the same. Maybe just they might have a bit different ordering than the Polish version, but if you are from Poland and if you've watched the Polish version, you should be familiar with all the concepts that we are all talking about in the English version. So
yeah, I would say that the main difference when it comes to size is because the modular monolith in Polish was basically modular monolith in English plus mini course about clean architecture and discussing all this stuff. So when you put those two together, you will end up with eventually, I would say, quite close, quite close size of the material, I would say. And yeah, the storming will be also discussed in depth when it comes to domain, probably in a future course, but we'll get to this later. So yeah, the confab is also as well, if you like to check the source code, I mean all the non-Polish folks in here, we can go to DevMentors, so to our GitHub and to go to confab. So in here you have all the repository, which, as Peter mentioned, is kind of more complex when it comes to domain. And yeah, that's the main difference. And for the English version, we have the inflow. So this sort of payment app for quick, like rapid payment app, which was more about the patterns and the concept in general, rather than, creating complex domain for an hours. So that was the first difference, and also the quality, right? Because of the pandemics, once again. So back in it
was more of a remote session back then.
Yeah, in the Polish version, it looked more like this, right? Like a stream, I would say. And that was also the disadvantage, I would call, because when you are sitting close in a one room for, let's say, 6-7 hours, you naturally try to compress, not to, I would say, not to flow too much into the details. You try to stay sharp on the topic, while we recorded like 1 or 2 hours a day for, let's say, 2-3 weeks. It was like more like the discussion, chit-chatting on the Discord and recording this as a sort of lesson. So naturally, I would say the pace was a little bit slower on the Polish version. But to put it sum up, I mean, in general, once you will either finish Polish or English version, you will gather the same, I would say, knowledge, right? It's not like something it has more over the another. At least I guess so. I hope so.
That's enough topic, because I can see the comments there.
Yeah.
So hello to all the guys.
I see it also.
Hello.
Yeah.
You see the comment from the Berkey who said that that was an advertisement, and we sound like guys who are actually telling you to do not buy it unless you are really certain. But that's what we do. That's the same we did with the microservices. We if we wanted to sell stuff, we'll just keep telling everyone, do the microservices, right? Go to our workshops, go to our courses. Microservices are the silver bullet, but that's not the point. We just want to really tell you the truth. Like, it's not for everyone. You might not need it, just unless you're very certain you need it.
Yeah, but look, I mean, it pretty much depends, of course, on how you. That's marketing is an art. I mean, I agree, but I think that the Peter and myself, we always wanted to make it more like we launch something, and eventually it's not like I want to, like, every 10 minutes I want to remind you that we've launched it. I mean, we put few information on the social media, and it's just a matter of whether it will suit your needs or not. We're not here to just play a role and acting like this is something that if you will not apply, then you're screwed, because it's not the case. It's not our style, and we'll probably stick to it for a very long time, unless you will see some sort of sponsors banners which will cover half of the screen. Then you will know that we sold out. But yeah, we do our best. Of course, I would say that this channel, from I would say the idea about creating like free YouTube course, turned slightly into the business, and this is not something that I think that we should be ashamed of. But the way that we I would say develop it, that's the beauty, I would say, about that. We have free will and free choice, and of course I wouldn't say it's the best way of selling, but if that suits our needs and this is how we feel right about it, then yeah, that's fine. But one thing about the fact that it might be overwhelming, because it's also worth mentioning, because I would say it's tradition always has been in here. So for the 14 days, you have the full refund. So if you're not quite sure, even after watching those 3 lessons, whether this is something for you, then yeah, you can basically buy it. And if you'll find out that that sucks, or maybe that's too much for me, or there's another reason, like you just need the money because of something, we don't care. You don't need to provide us any detailed information. You just write an email, and in which you're saying that, sorry, but I need to refund. And yeah, if this is like within 14 days, you got 100%, and we always done this, so there is no trick in here. So yeah. Yeah, so that was this one. Okay, another one. How does this whole Modular Monolith compares to what you've done, actually? Because if you don't know, Peter done another mini course, which is all about Modular Monolith. So if you'll click in here, you can see that we have another 2 hours of material, and how this actually compares to Modular Monolith on the platform.
Yeah, so I wanted to make like a really short course, because it could be also a long course, but I didn't want to hit 9 hours like I did with the CQRS. I know I could, but I didn't want to do it. So this mini course on YouTube, which is about 2+ hours long, is more about the fundamentals or the Modular Monolith. So actually in this course, I'm not implementing anything, but still, there is the repository called NPay, which is actually an extremely simplified version of the domain, this virtual payments domain that you will find in this inflow, on which is based this full Modular Monolith course. So it's just showing the fundamentals of what the modules are, how you can communicate them, how you can use the basic events to somehow integrate this data or this business process between the modules. And that's pretty much it. It's just mostly the fundamentals about the module itself. What is the module? What is modularity? What are, let's say, the core rules, the core principles when you think about designing your modules and keeping your boundaries straight. So yeah, that's like the fundamentals of the Modular Monolith. And yeah, just go and watch it if you haven't already. And hopefully, if you've never heard about the Modular Monolith, I would probably start with this YouTube version, see if it makes sense for you. And if it does, and if you need more stuff, more advanced, more real-world scenarios, then you can try out this full course. If it doesn't make sense for you, I'll just give it some time, try to digest it on your own, play with code maybe for a few weeks or something, and then think about purchasing or trying out this full Modular Monolith course.
Yeah, and I guess that one thing which we discussed partially in one of the videos was that let's be honest, we kind of screwed with the mini-series, with the series, sorry. In the back then there was no mini-series, but we had a series on the channel called Modular, like, how the fuck was that called? Building Modular Monolith,
Modular
SP.NET
Monolith.
Core. So that was like Like 1, 2, 3, 4.
There are a few episodes.
Like 9, I guess. Yeah, so half of this is in Miro about event storming. Then we started implementing the modular monolith. I mean the code itself, and yeah, we implemented one CRUD-ish module. The second one also was in there, and that was also CRUD-ish. And eventually we wanted to implement the third one. And by the way, the domain was based on this Polish series, so the confab. That was about the conferences. And we saw the domain that we wanted to implement, and we were like, okay, I mean, this is quite complex. So we either need to split it into few episodes, but still we need to discuss the CQRS, the domain, some concepts of the tactical domain-driven design, probably the clean architecture, etc. And at that point, it was the turning point in which we discussed that, it just makes no sense, because we'll now do the off-topic for about, let's say, 3 lessons, which has nothing in common with the modular monolith, because it's not like the modular monolith needs to contain the clean architecture or something. So those 2 completely different topics, and we discussed it and decided to just shut this series because it made no sense. And as some sort of I would say sorry for you, Peter recorded mini course about modular monolith, which was simplified, way easier to absorb. I recorded the clean architecture, and now we have this one. So we didn't delete the series, so we can still see how we started this journey, but at some points we just, you can clearly see where this actually ended up, even here on the thumbnails. So yeah, we started to actually doing the thumbnails because it's much easier to just look for the material, rather than having exactly the same for like 10 episodes or something. So that's hopefully answers the second question, right? What's the difference? I mean, your is very, I would say, it's just the essence
more theoretical.
More theoretical, but it's just the essence of the concept. So I guess for some, because I would say that the most tricky part in this case is to have this mental switch between the layered architecture and all about the horizontal architecture, rather than having everything, splitted on the vertical side. And your mini course does it, I would say, well. Allows you to do this mental switch, and this one is more about additional, I would say, adds additional flavor on top of that, more, I would say, pragmatic. This one, that was another question. So the initial price for this course, so even with 30% discount, it's still it's like 140 almost, and the microservices, I don't know what's the price, 89 bucks, euros. Sorry.
Yeah, but they also started at the same price.
So why is that? Why is that we are lowering the price instead of increasing it? Because I would see that there are 2 different strategies, right? Some people are actually, once they first is that we don't have some sort of like the sales periods. It's like we launch the course, it's available for, let's say, forever, right? It's not like we are doing this for a week and then we are closing this and we are doing like the additions. We are like launching it and that's pretty much it. But over the time, the price is decreasing, right?
Yeah, so I think it's like with the tech. I mean, over time, I mean, still the concepts pretty much might remain the same for many years. But then, after some time, there might be someone else coming up with the new shiny course about modular monoliths, or maybe there will be some new stuff that should be added to this course, but it wasn't added, or whatever the reason is. It just, it gets older. So over time, it's not like a wine that when it gets older, it's just going to get a higher price in our case. So we just want to make it, we don't want to increase the price. It doesn't make much sense, so we just keep lowering the price. So that's what happens over time for our courses, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I I would say that, yeah, this is exactly, actually, I fully agree. I mean, I know that for some people, if you at first look at this, it's like, okay, but some people bought it for, let's say, 199, but after a year, it's like 89 or something. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's like there are few already, besides the technology itself, so like tool might be obsolete, or there's a faster, better way of doing this. And the good example, let's say, from the microservices, it's like we discussed the Jaeger.
There's new framework.
Yeah,
together,
but we discussed the Jaeger when it comes to distributed tracing. Now we've got the open telemetry, and there are other ways. The console slightly changed from the service discovery. Now they more evolve into like mesh stuff, and there are other things that tools which probably would make this whole process even easier. But also, I would say that it's like we as a developers also grow slightly, and probably like within next 3-4 years there will be few things that we will probably wouldn't say any longer, because we're still evolving, we're still getting new experience. So for me, it's fair to just decrease the price instead of saying, okay, no, with each new edition I will increase it, because it makes no sense for us that much. And it's more like the comparing to, let's say, phones, in which you have new iPhone, the price is decreasing once the new edition is actually released, and everyone knows why, because it has lack of feature, technology is obsolete, etc.
And as the quality of the newer courses gets higher, gets better and better, it's also one of the reasons, right? When you compare, for example, the microservices to Modular Monolith, and then we let's say compare this one to, let's say, the new course in the future, you will see some differences between, let's say, the overall quality. So why would I would you still charge the same amount? Doesn't make sense.
I mean, can I sign in? I have no clue.
I can help you now.
Don't know the credentials. But yeah, if you would see the quality for the actually I can do this. If I will switch to Polish microservices, I should see, let's say, this one.
So the very first course that we have ever recorded.
I mean,
try to double click on to make it a full screen.
Okay, czyli co, mając podstawy,
it's in Polish, but the quality. Wait, what? Why is that?
QRS-a możemy przejść dalej.
You can double click on
I
the
zobaczymy.
I can, because it will open in full screen and I'm on the half screen.
Wewnątrz systemowej, między konkretnymi usługami.
Bardziej integracji nawet niż samej komunikacji.
But I mean seriously, I mean, comparing this, I mean the white wall in here, we had a TV which was actually a good one, but the audio it's not very good, I would say. Of course the knowledge is still there, but this is how we felt at that point, right? And now comparing this to, let's say, this. I would say that it's rather having all those like the diagrams, and like in here you have something which is doing some magic movement on the screen. It would be just not fair, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you'll understand why we are lowering the price instead of increasing it with each new edition or something, or each new year. Had one question. Wait, maybe let's just get back to chat for a while, because there are a few things. A very important question. Mac OS versus Windows. Someone wants to start the shitstorm. Actually, Bambusek is one of the guys who I know from a lot of streams, actually. So, Peter, how would you answer? macOS or Windows?
So, previous macOS bad, current macOS good. Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, when
yeah,
go on.
yeah, go on. I want to hear your
So-
explanation first. Yeah, because
Okay, so at first working with Linux for many years, then I had to partially switch to Windows because some of the projects, let's say commercial projects, I had to deal with. And then I work on macOS. Then I hated macOS. Now I'm back to macOS. Not fully. I'm still doing some Windows and Linux stuff, but I'm doing more macOS now, mostly, let's say, thanks to the M1 chip and its efficiency, and the fact that the machine is finally quiet. I don't hear any fans at all. So it's still good, but it wasn't always good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure whether this is only about the OS, because the question suggests so. But
it's more of a hardware stuff in OS.
Yeah, so back in, I guess that was the microservices.net English version. We used both MacBook 16, right, inch with i9. And yeah, as Peter mentioned, I was that like full spec, I guess, 64 gigs of RAM, i9. And yeah, the efficiency of that was questionable, I would say, especially if you had like a lot of stuff going on in Docker, and we were doing the demos on the microservices. The fans were just it was just ridiculous how loud these machines actually worked. I mean, and the temperature, you could basically, fry an egg on it because it was so hot. And yeah, even though the specs were like on the paper, it was impressive, I wouldn't say it was that good experience back then, right? Especially when it comes to rendering. I mean, the rendering, like even a 2K video was like, it was fine, but not very impressive. In here with the M1, yeah, it's completely different story. I mean, I fully agree. I've got actually 14-inch. Peter has got 16, and still, yeah, I guess never heard the fun yet.
Yeah, never.
Yeah. So macOS, and when it comes to OS itself, I would also choose macOS over Windows. However, if you are considering, actually, I have a plan to record the YouTube video about my whole setup, because also there were a few people who ask about what's monitors you're using, etc., keyboards. So maybe I'll do some sort of about the PC, the laptop, and the monitors, and how it's configured, because it's also worth mentioning that with macOS we both had some issues with screen refresh rates and different cables. It was like pain in the ass, while with the PC it's rather straightforward. You just plug it in and it works. While in here I still don't have the full refresh rate on one of my monitors, on the other it works, but I also have sometimes weird behaviors, so it's not always that good. And also I noticed that working with .NET below 6 on ARM is questionable, I would say. I guess debugging for some apps is still not working in my case. I was discussing this with a guy on our Discord, and he had exactly quite similar issues. With .NET 6, it's just not only like ridiculously fast, but also it just works. So then we have, do you plan to create Modular Monolith also for front-end app with using, for example, WPF or Blazor?
No, sorry. We are not doing much of a front end, so we wouldn't feel good with explaining this stuff.
You would not enjoy this. I mean, the
Yeah.
visual part would be like killing you. So nope, I guess. So if you're starting a project, your first attempt would be to do this in Modular Monolith style. Peter, how do you answer?
If the project is simple, I would make it a classical monolith. I know the domain and I know it's not going to be complicated. If I don't know the domain, or if I'm going to work with this with, let's say, multiple developers, or if the domain, even if I know the domain, but I know this is going to be huge, complex, and has some, let's say, potentially complex parts that I haven't discovered yet, I would go with the modular monolith. Maybe microservices, but probably modular monolith.
I would always go for Modular Monolith, no matter what. So I'm glad that at least some of the answers are different. Even if the domain is simple, I mean, for now, to me, it makes no sense. I don't see any advantage of layered architecture over the Modular Monolith. So probably would stick to this approach always. Unless that would be like hackathon or something in which the time matters really. But I mean, not the time to market matters, but like the actual time of setting up the modules. Then okay, but I do not attempt the hackathons quite often. So no. Could you share specs of your machines?
Depends which one.
Which one? Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I will record the video, but in my case, it's for PC, which I'm now using only actually for F1 games. It's i7 something, I have no clue, and GeForce 2070 Super, 32 gigs of RAM, and I don't know. And for the MacBook, it's M1 Max 64 gigs of RAM. Actually, this is all you need to know, and 14-inch as mentioned. For you, Peter, I don't know whether you want to.
So I have a desktop PC with i9 and 2080. I purchased this, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and it was a good purchase because the RTX holds the price. It's even more expensive than it was a few years
mine's
ago.
actually, yeah, it's actually more expensive now.
Good investment. Investment. Then I have the G15 Zephyrus, which I really like. This is a laptop, RTX 3080, but a mobile. But it has the Ryzen processor, and it's very good, very efficient. I think it's even better than my desktop i9. From what when I run some tests and programs, I feel like it's faster, more efficient. And then I have maxed out M1 Max 16 with 1 terabyte. So the same like a Direct, just 16-inch and maxed out. Mostly for the video editing stuff, because probably I would go maybe with let's say 16-core GPU or whatever. But
I mean, the video editing on MacBook is just ridiculously fast. I mean, this is I couldn't believe once the clean architecture mini course, so 9 hours was rendered. I'm not quite sure. That was actually 4K or 2K.
I think
it's 4K.
I render 30 minutes video for about 10 minutes tops, maybe something like this in 4K using H.264 codec.
For how long?
10 minutes for 30 minutes video. 10
Yeah,
minutes of rendering,
I mean 4K 9 hours long mini course. It took about 10 hours on the PC with dedicated graphic cards, and on the Mac 1 hour long lesson was about 17 minutes. So it was like, and it was even not in the Apple ProRes, because in the Apple ProRes it's even faster. It's like I would say it will be probably below 10 minutes, but we are switched to H20.
Yeah, because
20.
the size is tremendous.
256, I guess. Yeah, because on the Apple ProRes, because of the quality that it actually allows you to keep, it's one episode got like 100 gig of storage, so it makes no sense.
Yep.
Okay, let's go. But I will probably. I for sure will record the video about the monitors, the stuff. Actually, how I set it up, and we'll compare PC to this, maybe also to my G14. And because wouldn't say that MacBook is for everyone, especially if you're working with something beyond below .NET 6. I would not say it's the first choice. Do you plan to maintain or continue to develop Convey Paco? Actually, this is a good one. Migrate to .NET 6
Paco?
maybe?
Paco, no. But if you take a look at Convey, I made a lot of updates recently. So it's been at first updated to 6.0 a few weeks ago, and with some new features and some peers merges. And then, I don't know, about a week ago something, I published, let's say, version 1.0. So it's still .NET 6.0, but with some smaller breaking changes, which were also part of the, let's say, comments and the issues posted on the GitHub repository. So, for example, there's the cancellation token, optional parameter added to the command handlers, and so on. So it's being maintained, and it's not going to be abandoned soon. That's for certain. Actually, I had a plan to record a small video about the Convey at some point in the future, just as a reminder what's changed, that it's still out there and it's being, let's say, maintained and updated. So
yeah, and actually that's a good bridge to what I wanted to ask you about. Because there was a question once again by Bambusek7. What would be the next course about? Do you have plan already? So I will just add another question to that. What are our plans regarding YouTube channel and courses?
Yeah. So to answer the question, we have planned for at least one course. I would say even for the two courses, because ideally we would like to
for two.
maybe we'll see. Because ideally we would like to release like two courses a year. So let's say we release the Modular Monolith at the beginning of the January, but it was, let's say, recorded in the last year, a few weeks ago. But it's for 2022 anyway. But the next course, most probably, like 99% of certainty, will be about the domain-driven design. So it's a huge topic, and we just need to, probably spend about half a year to prepare the stuff, because there's a lot of topics out there to make it a good one.
Yeah, the issue with domain-driven design is that it has two flavors. The one which is popular, which is more about tactical domain-driven design, and it was partially, but I wouldn't call this like covered in the clean architecture mini course. I mean, I mentioned few building blocks, but for a lot of people, this is the domain-driven design, like OOP. This is what I call domain-driven design. But I would say that something which is more important is the strategic DDD and how to explore the domain, the still subdomains, etc. Creating the ubiquitous language, working with the domain experts, etc. Quite a lot of stuff. Also, when it comes to tactical domain-driven design, also a few things regarding, I would say, large-scale structures. Also, with the strategic domain-driven design, the context mappings, and defining the bounded context. There's quite a lot of topics. And actually, the fun part is that it's not like the domain-driven design starts in code. Actually, it's quite an opposite. So to make it first good and very comprehensive in terms of going through the let's say, business requirements to exploring a domain, etc. Doing this beyond the code, and we still need to figure out how to make it very, I would say, good in terms of video and audio quality. Maybe we'll probably end up with some sort of, cool boards, or I don't know, maybe even Storming recorded in some fancy way. But yeah, there are a few challenges regarding both the recording this course and actually finding the domain. Actually, we have one domain which will be quite complex. I mean, it's, when you think about it at first glance, it's like, okay, it's trivial. But once you will start adding the requirements, it's just growing so fast that, I mean, it's something that I would probably say that it's like Paco was the tip of an iceberg comparing to the domain that we have in mind. So domain-driven design is the challenge, and yeah, as Peter mentioned, like half a year will at least the amount of that we need to allocate to actually make it work. How about the YouTube? That's actually...
So on my side, I'm not even in the middle of my feeder series, so I plan at least 12 episodes. I'll see if there will be more, maybe a few more, but on the other hand, I don't want to, let's say, make 30 episodes because it'll be too much. But at least 12 episodes. I have a plan for at least 9 more. So the fourth one is going to be released tomorrow. The next ones will be released on a weekly basis, as promised. And then I have a plan for few more, let's say, few more topics, like not related maybe to microservices. Some small series, maybe 1 to 3 episodes. Some videos, just let's say separate. I mean, by separated, I mean just single topic related videos. I haven't decided yet, but I have one small series in mind about the RabbitMQ and building your own messaging around this tool, just so that you can get to know the idea behind this messaging broker, how it works behind the scenes, and you can understand it on let's say lower level. And a few other ideas I have in mind, but I don't want to make empty promises yet, because if I don't want to say something that I'm going to do and then I will not do it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how this will go. I mean, probably some materials maybe we'll record together somehow. I mean, remotely probably. But yeah, the feeder for you. So still quite a few episodes. Actually, I have a plan to start like maybe even this week, the code and some sort of theory background also for recording my own, want to avoid the mini series term, but yeah, let's say mini series about the messaging in distributed systems in general. And Peter mentioned that he wants to do this on the RabbitMQ. I want to focus more on the theory and patterns, and of course the code will appear. Probably will do this on top of Azure Service Bus. Actually, I've got few topics. So of course the basic terms about, what's the topic, subscription, producer, consumer, the different messaging delivery stuff, but also more advanced topics about, let's say, outbox pattern based on different actually styles. So we can do this either by periodical job that we shown on the microservices and also on the Modular Monolith course, but also using change data capture, maybe some other patterns regarding the transactional processing. Also not so obvious stuff about the, let's say, total ordering and basically about the time in the messaging. So let's say logical clock versus physical clock, how they do it compare, maybe some sort of more advanced stuff regarding the messaging, because it's quite, I would say, this is something that I really study now and I really enjoy learning about those patterns. So I don't know whether this will be that entertaining, hopefully. But this will be probably more advanced stuff. And yeah, this is the plan for me. But I will not put this as one lesson. I will split this. So one will be, let's say, basics, then two different models of the message delivery, etc., and issues regarding the different models. So that's from my side. And also because I want to also put not only the stuff really technical in here, I mean, not also only related to code and code only, but so I also do plan on this mentioned setup, maybe some other stuff about maybe some behind the scenes of creating this whole course. What tools do we use? Maybe you have a plan also to record the course, but you don't know how to start, and I guess that we could share a few tips how we are tackling this now. So that will be from my side, and putting this together, I guess that for the next at least half a year we'll have content for you, right? I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also have also the full course about domain-driven design that we need to do, and we also have some other topics that we'll probably discuss.
Mhm.
Okay. So that was this. I got this. Let's just back to chat.
Yeah, so because I can see there's like a lot of questions about the microservices and stuff, while we wanted to focus more on the modular monolith and the, let's say, the channel and the plans. So I would think, I guess that probably the most beneficial would be if we could just move these questions to our Discord, and then we could just discuss them here, because otherwise we'll spend here another 30 or 60 minutes.
Yeah, we could just briefly, I guess, answer a few of them. Because it should be rather straightforward. Okay, why do you speak Polish? Because it's English channel, so that's why.
Yeah.
We actually put only one, I guess, video in Polish in here, which is hidden and was only for the Polish audience. So this is why. How to implement identity server microservices architecture? Should it be treated separately from API gateway, which
Yes, it should
with
be
its own
separated.
views? Yes, mostly because you might have more than one API gateway, let's say for different applications, for the like mobile or something other. So this is why you won't like to have it. Most of those microservices don't include authentication and authorization. I don't know why. Ours does include that.
Yep.
And
Another
also on the
sample there.
service-to-service level using PKI certificates. So it is in there. How many commercial projects have you worked on? Do you work together? Always greenfield. How much traffic did the largest system have? Microservices or monolith? I worked on 7, 8, maybe 9 even, I guess. Depends. Few of them were greenfield and were different architectural styles. Some of them were distributed, and we eventually decided to merge it to the modular monolith because of the convey slow and because of the COVID. We decided actually the other way around. So that was actually changing, and a few of them were greenfield, few of them were, let's say, taken out from, let's say, previous developer teams. Currently now I'm doing quite a good have a quite a good challenge because I'm migrating. We have a plan to migrate quite a huge system, which is monolith to microservices. So it's not like starting from the greenfield, and like evolution patterns needs to be applied to actually make it smooth and possible. So for me, it's also good to have something like this because it's quite challenging, and it's quite hard to actually. It's like you never have two like identical systems, so those patterns like branch by abstraction, like strangler freak, which are well known, it's not like it sounds easy in theory, but when you start applying it, it's you still have some sort of technical depth, and you need to do somehow with it to make this transition actually possible. And on your side, Peter, because that was also...
I don't know. I mean, dozens of projects. I don't remember. We don't want together, at least now. Also, sometimes greenfield, sometimes brownfield. Hopefully, I don't remember working on any old legacy project. I would always avoid such kind of projects or companies. Traffic.
Oh, that's also traffic. Okay.
I don't remember. I don't, probably few thousand, maybe tens of thousands of clients, but I don't know. I haven't measured the peak because I'm not on the DevOps side anymore, so I can tell.
Yeah, it's also hard. A few millions messages on the broker a day, so it's kind of hard to tell how many. Wait, what? Guys, the link to Discord is on the DevMentors.io in here. I'm pointing this.
And also under each video on YouTube in the description.
Yeah.
And other DevMentors.io as well.
But in here, if you go to DevMentors.io, in here you have the link to this one. Wait, do you have any interesting cases that require special solutions in terms of performance?
Yeah, I have tons of them when I work on a blockchain project.
Yeah, you have
it's a topic of another video.
Yeah, actually, I have now really strict when it comes to performance, but because of an NDA, I probably can now. I need to discuss it with with the company. If I can give you any details, then I will do for sure, because I actually have now quite interesting one. How do you solve issues which needs combined data on this microservices framework? Wait, maybe we need a report page that combines any solution in the framework. I'm not quite sure what do you mean by framework.
No, so it's not the framework. That's first thing. And if you need to combine the data, well, at first I would try to rethink whether you have boundaries set right. But if you need to combine the data, I would just publish the events most likely, and then just maybe create another microservice which combines data from different services, and it just updates this data all the time based on the events going on through the message broker. But it's hard to tell. I would probably do this in the asynchronous mode using the event-driven approach anyway.
Yeah, I mean, some sort of aggregation service which would listen to integration events is something that I would go for at first glance, because you can create the structure which is flattened and combines the data from different microservices, and and then it's just a matter of either creating in Elasticsearch index or something, and creating the performant query which will allow you to do so, rather than having a situation in which you are doing this aggregation on the, API gateway or something. But sometimes it's also a matter of the consistency level and how you rely on it actually depends on many factors, not only the topology of your messaging. Actually, I will discuss this also in my mini series about the topology and how this might imply the overall data consistency, and depending also on the settings that you have within your cluster. There's quite a lot of factors, but you could think about some sort of service that would listen to multiple different integration events and somehow create the read model, which would be some sort of compose projection, aggregate projection of the data that you're looking for. There are also other concepts presented, I guess that was by the Udi Dahan, like the IT ops, and how you can actually make this use this I would say instead of synchronous communication between the services, if you need, let's say this, so there are quite few patterns probably will record something on this, but yeah, we'll see. Peter, a question for you: is that good idea to separate the domain model and persistence model?
It depends. I mean, you can do it, and if you want to keep your, let's say, code 100% clean, it makes sense, but you need to ask yourself a question. What is the cost of maintenance? What database are you using? In some databases, you can rather easily, almost one-to-one, map your, let's say, in aggregates, for example, in NoSQL database mostly, so you might not need the separate model. In, let's say, SQL databases, you might need to, well, it might differ, your data model from entity model. I mean, what you are going to, how it's going to look in database, and you might need to, if you were to stick to a single model, being your data model and your entity model, your aggregate, you might need to, go for some compromises. But again, in terms of maintenance and let's say ease of implementation, working with the code, quite often this is what you will most probably do. Just stick to the single model, just for the pragmatic reasons, I guess. Not always, but quite often.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I would say that in many cases, unfortunately, frameworks, drivers, ORMs, or something dictates you whether you are capable of doing so or not. If that would significantly, I would say, make my domain model aware of the fact that I'm using some sort of database engine, then I would probably go for the separate solution. But if you are sticking to something which is capable of doing so, like I don't know, EF Core, then it's fine. It's unnecessary to introduce another layer, unless you are doing the CQRS and full encapsulation that I've done on the CQRS Clean Architecture course, in which there is no, everything is hidden. Then it makes sense again, but you need to check the material to understand what I mean. Hello pros, are you going to create more free courses?
Yeah, all the time on YouTube. Some are shorter, some are longer. That's what our channel is for.
Yeah, exactly. So next months you can expect way more materials. Oh, actually, I'll get a question for anyone who's still awake, because we do plan also to launch the shorts, right? And the idea is not to create this, crappy shorts about nothing, but we would like to give you some sort of maybe tips or like some sort of, I don't know, we'll see, but something that will be valuable for you in terms of knowledge. So the question for you is whether you would like to have the shorts on this channel, and maybe we'll just put them into the categories, but as an implication, the shorts will appear also on the video list. So it will be like, let's say, video short, or it will be better for you to have it on the separated channel, let's say Dev Mentors shorts or something. So the question for you, that was it, I guess. Wait. If I have access to Polish version of your Modular Monolith course, does it make sense to join the course? No, it does not.
Nope.
And just go to the GitHub and you'll see the code is open for you. You can just see how the approaches that and the concepts that we learned in the Polish version are applied in there. It makes no sense. Okay, that's all we had. Wasn't scary.
Yep.
Shorts would be nice, same channel. Yeah, just the matter whether we will put there in here or on the separated channel. I would personally, I have a mixed feelings, to be honest, because I don't like the way the YouTube presents the shorts. So if we will start putting a lot of them, then you might find it hard to go for the videos. Maybe not that hard, but because you can still go in here and do some sort of different, yeah, we'll see. That's it, right? Do we have anything more?
Yeah.
So
Nope. If you have any more questions, just go to Discord and let's discuss.
once
there.
again,
all the stuff.
devmentors.io, and in here,
slash Discord.
what?
If you go devmentors.io/Discord, GitHub, YouTube, Facebook, you just got redirected. So.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one. Actually, didn't know about this one. So yeah, devmentors.io. Now my mark is blue. So devmentors.io/Discord, and you will go to our channel. So now you disappeared. Sorry. Right. So I guess that's it. Right.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Wait, this is the webcam. So thank you, and we'll see you on the YouTube, but not in the live version. Probably we'll do some live. You can leave a comment whether you would like to see more lives with us. Maybe let's say once a month we could arrange some sort of Q&A, maybe some sort of updates. What are our plans for the upcoming future? Maybe just chit-chatting with you, and yeah, thank you. And now it's just a matter whether I will be able to close this fucking stream. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, anyway, bye.